Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. The Middle East is on edge as the United States and Israel have unleashed sweeping strikes on Iran, marking a dramatic escalation that could redraw the region's security landscape. Iran has already retaliated. Here in Warsaw, our reporter Kazimierz Łysiak has been to a protest where Iranians were there talking about how they want regime change, and joins me now here in studio. Kazimierz, welcome to the program. So glad to have you here. Now, do tell me, you were at this protest here today. It's not the first time that there is an anti-regime protest. How did that unfold today?
Exactly. It's not the first time. They have been gathering almost every other week now for the past couple of weeks and months here, not only in Warsaw, but also across Europe. We've seen these massive protests and all over the world, in the United States as well. Iranians living abroad voicing their support for their compatriots inside the country. We've seen the internet blackout inside Iran leading up to this moment. And these massive protests where thousands of people were being killed on the streets of Iran by the regime. Now, many of these protesters were actually the voice for the people inside Iran. Since there was this information blackout, the only way for Iranians to speak up was actually through Iranians living abroad. So I went there. It was just actually a couple of 100 meters away from our building.
I actually saw, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there. I saw a flag of Israel along with flags of Iran, without that Allah sign, but the actual, the lion that we see, the original flag that the Iranians want to be essentially brought back, right, on their national flag. And Israel, how was it? I want to ask you about that for a moment. Were they Iranians? Were they Israelis? Did you get a chance to find out? How did you personally view that as this, something that we know that these two countries are, and continuously clashing together, but maybe that, it was nice to see people that actually want to see a genuine peace in their respective countries.
Right, so here is the thing. The strikes on Iran were conducted by both the United States and Israel in cooperation. So this was a way of these Iranians living here expressing their gratitude to not only the United States and President Donald Trump, but also to Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. And I spoke about this actually with one of them. I asked them, what's going on here with this flag? And they said, well, listen, it's not political in any way. They just want to see the regime change, and they couldn't do it by themselves. When we saw these massive protests with the Iranian regime killing thousands of people, these protesters were unarmed.
The numbers are over, 20, 30,000?
It varies. It's between 5 to more than 30,000 people killed in just a few weeks. It's difficult to pinpoint specifically because, of course, the Iranian regime controls everything, including information in the country. But these numbers are still massive, especially in such a short span of time. So these Iranians at this protest told me, well, listen, it's not political. We know that these figures, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, are both controversial in their both ways. But still, we don't care about that. What we want is to be free. The regime has been there for decades now, and they really are heavily repressed. Now, I actually have a few sound bites from these protests. Let's take a look at what some of these protesters said.
I was sleeping a bit longer. I woke up and I opened my phone and I saw, okay, they already started, and I called my friend here and she was so happy, and everybody is really happy. Now it's time, after the attack is finished, for Iranian people, for us to go on the street and take over the control of the country ourselves.
So you think you can be free finally?
Yes, we all think that's the time, yes.
Actually, it's kind of a mixed feeling because my parents are living in Iran, our family in Iran, but at the same time, it's kind of freedom for us, It's at least some people in all around the world finally hear our voices and trying to help us to get up this Islamic regime in Iran.
We welcome them. Many of people in Iran are cheering. You cannot imagine, if you watch those videos that leaked out of the country, people are watching fighter jets in the sky and cheering for them. So I'm just feeling the same way that everybody inside Iran is feeling.
I actually have a Persian friend whom I spoke to 2 days ago, and, she was telling me, she goes, I can't wait for, Israel to do something about this, because Donald Trump and, Benjamin Netanyahu need to hurry up. And it's very, I'm not going to say strange, but it's quite interesting, if that's the word I will say, that, Iranians here are saying, not particularly in this video, but saying, hey, Israel, you have to help us, you know, and they've been, like you mentioned, for weeks, for months, if not begging the United States to really strike Iran and to have this regime change. Kazimierz, I want to ask you something. You've been to these numerous protests. Do you think that this time around, this toppling of the Islamic Republic is going to be a success?
Well, to be honest, if not now, when? That's the big question here. And even US President Donald Trump said this himself. This is your opportunity, so take it, because possibly that's your last opportunity for a long, long time. And I think that's actually reflected in the way that these protesters have been chanting and saying here in Warsaw and also across the world. That's why they are so excited. That's why they are celebrating. That's why they are cheering, because they are actually convinced that this will happen now. However, this is actually not certain. We don't know what will happen. It's still very early. We are still seeing, strikes in Iran. We are seeing strikes across the entire Middle East, with Iran retaliating. We don't actually know what happened with the political leadership in Iran. We've seen strikes on the residence of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, but we don't know if he's alive or not.
There's no confirmation, right?
Exactly. And the biggest problem with toppling this regime is the fact that they do have this immense security structure in place. They have the Islamic Republic Guard, and they are heavily armed, of course, also supported by Russia. Russia has been supplying them with weapons, and many of these people in Iran, the protesters, are unarmed. So the question is now, can the United States, in fact, inflict enough damage to then allow the people inside Iran to rise up and actually take over?
Well, I mean, Reza Pahlavi, right, is also calling on people to join the protesters, and for everyone really to join the protesters, and including saying what Donald Trump is saying, that this might be your only chance to really take down this regime and change it, right, and bring it to what Iran was before 1979. Kazimierz, what do you think about Reza Pahlavi? I saw a protester there in one of the videos. She was actually holding his portrait. But I mean, I can't agree on the fact that everybody sees him as a future leader of a free and democratic Iran. What's your take on that?
Well, a few things to unpack here, because first of all, it's actually unclear how Iran would look like after a potential regime change. It's not clear if it would be going into a democracy or a monarchy. What would happen, we still don't know. It's very early to tell. And I'm glad that you mentioned Reza Pahlavi. It's the prince, exiled prince, who's been living in the United States. Many of these protesters are actually coming to these rallies with the portraits, like you've mentioned, of him, and not only here in Warsaw, but also across Europe. To be honest, this is true. Not all of them want Pahlavi to become the future leader. However, many of them do, or at least want him to become this transitional leader. And that's what also he has been saying. He has been saying, look, I'm not even interested in being a full-blown leader. I don't need to take over power forever or for years to come. I just want to be there to organize this transition from the regime to whatever will come next. Now, whether that's true, whether he actually would, give back power to the people after going through with this transition, we also don't know. And not everyone would like Reza Pahlavi to return as a leader, but I'm getting the sense from these protests and from the majority of people there that they at least want something else. That's their best opportunity right now, and he is actually the only big political figure that they can put their trust into. There isn't really anyone else, I think, who for now has that much support in Iran and outside of Iran among the Iranian people. So whether he will actually become the future leader of Iran is still also uncertain. But what he wants to do, he wants to offer this way forward. He wants to get this transitional power in. Whether this will happen, we have to wait and see.
Kazimierz, what stands out to you the most when you attend these protests? Has something impacted you personally, not just from today's protests, but from previous ones, the harsher ones, right, when we actually saw those thousands of protesters being killed in Iran? What stories that were shared with you impacted you the most?
So the stories I've heard from these people are really horrific. It's horrible what was happening in Iran leading up to this moment, these massive protests when they were being killed on the streets. I've heard, first account stories from them about people being shot on the streets, children being killed. bodies mutilated. It's really something absolutely horrible. And all of this can really bring you down, you know. I sympathize with them a lot, and it's very difficult to hear these stories, to see the tears in their eyes. I mean, they're talking about their family members. So it's very difficult, but what I will take away from that is the strength that they are actually giving me. And the strength comes from the fact that they are actually very hopeful. Even though all of this is happening to them, they are saying to me, we need to stay strong. We can't be sad now, we can't mourn right now, because we need to fight, we need to liberate our country. And when someone who is going through something like that, through horrific scenes on the streets, through their family members being killed or imprisoned, and they are still hopeful, they are still staying strong, well, how can we not be strong in our everyday lives? You know, the problems that we have every day suddenly seem much, much smaller when I'm hearing their stories and I'm seeing their strength through it all. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? If they are strong enough to go through this, then I can deal with whatever I have going on in my life.
How do you envision the future of Iran?
Well, I am hopeful that the regime will be toppled. There will be plenty of questions that are still unanswered and will have to be clarified in the weeks to come. It's difficult to estimate what's going to happen now. These strikes are still going on as we speak, so it's difficult to say. It's still very early. But I think everyone is hopeful that the regime could change. We've seen these images from the 1970s of Iran before the regime came, and it was a completely different place.
Girls in bikinis on beaches.
Exactly, and it's one of the biggest countries in the Middle East. It was actually very well developed back then. Now it's these protests and everything that is happening now is also connected with the disastrous economic situation in Iran, which is also made worse by sanctions imposed by the United States and the West. But these sanctions are a response to Iran pursuing nuclear weapons. And this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is saying we are striking Iran because we want to stop them from developing nuclear weapons.
I mean, bad economic situation, yet somehow they have enough funds to arm Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and the other proxies, and Russia.
With Shahed drones in Ukraine. So this is having repercussions not only for the Middle East, but for all of the world and for Europe, for us as well. That's why we are talking about this, because this really is an important issue which will have repercussions for the entire planet. And also there is the case of oil, you know, that about 20% of the world's oil output comes through Iran, through the waters there. So, you know, this is a big deal. We will see what comes out of it, but hopefully the regime can be toppled.
Thank you so much, Kazimierz Łysiak, for all your insight here with us today. Thanks. And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.